Generally, your Ravan sir, generally he asks questions, so compulsory you have to give answer, right? But for me also same thing. We are all here to learn, because why we are learning this? Because when you are working, these are all technologies are required to work. Whatever we are teaching, these are all important there. Not only just for passing an interview. Okay, these are all important for. So compulsory you should have a knowledge. Okay. So can we start?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay. So what we discussed about IP addresses, IPv4 classes, and how to identify IP address, which class of IP address. And we discussed about a network and host portions. And we discussed about a subnet mask, which actually divide your IP address into network and host portions. So same network portions means two devices will communicate each other. Okay, and how the complete range of IP addresses look like, and what is the starting one, what is network ID, what is broadcast ID, and what are the assigned IP address. How to find network ID of an IP address, and then what is meant by subnetting. Just we didn't discuss what is subnetting complete concept, because it's a larger topic. It is take at least 3 days to discuss, and a lot of practice is required. For now, just what is the subnet is? Subnetting is we divide one single network into multiple networks. Okay. So number of hosts per subnet will be reduces. As discussed, you go to the class C. In the class C, one single network, you are getting 254 device IP addresses. But there is an organization required only 50 or 20 or maybe 10 public IP addresses for their connectivity. So this is waste of giving this 254 IP addresses to an organization, right? It's a waste of IP address. What we are doing is we will subnet. We'll divide this network into small subnets. We divide one single network into small subnet. So as per the requirement, so we'll give that subnet to the user, company, organization, client. Okay. So this is what it is subnet means. Okay. So how to achieve the subnetting is by changing the subnet mask itself. If you change the subnet mask, that network ID changes, and based on network and host also changes. And this subnet mask we can also represent, either it is default subnet mask or maybe a changed subnet mask, different subnet. So compulsory when you are specifying IP address, you have to specify the subnet mask. If you are using default subnet mask, it means you are using classful network. If you are using different subnet mask than default one, it means classless network, because it does not have any class here now. It is not a class A or not class B or not class C once you change the subnet mask. Okay. And these subnet masks you can write completely like this 255.255.255.0 or 255.255.240.0 like that. Also, you can represent this subnet mask using a slash notation. Okay, so it represents the subnet mask. Also, we call it as a prefix, or this is also we call it as CIDR method, classless inter-domain routing. Classless inter-domain routing. Okay, so how to write in the slash notation pattern is number of ones in the subnet mask is our slash notation. You take this, it is 255.0.0. It means it contains 8 ones, it means /8. This is contains is 16 ones, it is /16. This is contain 24 ones, it means /24. Okay, this subnet mask contains 20 once, so that's a slash 20. This subnet mask contains 22 once, then it's a slash 22. Okay. This is what we discussed just before you are giving a lunch. Maybe some people are all there are not with them. Okay. So what's the next is private IP and public IP addresses. This is my private IP. So this is my architect office, home. It may be my office. It may be my home, right? Like it's my network. Okay, this is my network. I have a devices. I'm connecting these devices together, either using a like a hub or a switch, or maybe I will use some wireless access point to connect the devices wirelessly. Okay, so either I will using hub or a switch to connect the devices, so then they will communicate each other. Okay, or I'm connecting devices using wireless access point. Okay, wireless access point or switch or a hub, I can use it. So then these devices will communicate. So the first one is we call it as a LAN. Okay, everything is LAN only. Okay, second one we call it as a WLAN. This time it is wireless LAN. That's the only difference. I don't require to communicate outside of the network. Okay, means I don't require to communicate to the like a gmail.com, facebook.com. No, just I want to communicate through my network, sharing information. Okay, any within the network I want to communicate. For that purpose, I don't need to buy any IP addresses, but I need an IP address to communicate, but I don't want to buy it. Right? So you can use any of these private IP address ranges. You can use any of the private IP addresses for your network. Okay. So actually these IP addresses are controlled by IANA, IANA, IANA or ICANN, ICANN, ICANN. So these two organizations mainly controls these IP addresses. Which country, which region, what IP, what network they should use it. Okay. So that behind the design of this IPv4 and IPv6s. So which IP address can be used within a LAN, means without any public connectivity. Okay, people can use it directly. No need of license and all. Okay, what I'm saying, uh, guys, in a private, in a local, private means local. You can use certain IP addresses without registration, without any payments or licenses. You can use certain IP address ranges. Okay, that is called a private IPs. Sorry, yeah, private IPs. Private IP addresses can be used by any person, any organization. Okay, any person or any organization can use these private IP addresses in their network without license or registration or payment. Okay, but these IP addresses are non-routable in public. Means with your private IP, You can't communicate in the public. Okay. To communicate in the public network, so you should require public IP address. Okay. Guys, understand what is meant by private IP address?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
From class A, very good. From class A, they're giving a only one single network that is called a 10 series. Only 10 series from class C, because class C is actually one single network. You can connect huge number of devices, almost like 16 million, more than 16 million devices. You can connect it. So maybe because of that one, they given a 10 series only given. Okay. That range is 10.0.0.0 to 10.255, 255, 255. This is complete range I have written, but actually assigned range is 10.0.0.1. This is the first one, assigned matrix. Means from here you can configure to your devices. Up to 10.255, 255, 254. This is the last one. After this is 255. After that one, it's 11.0. Okay. So only one network is given for private purpose. Okay. Next is class B. Class B. Class B. 172.16. One network like. And here it is given around 15, networks are given. Okay. This is one network. Class B means first two are network versions, right? This is compulsory. And this is changes. 172.16.255, complete range is 255, 255. This is 1, this is 254. So 172.16, 0.1. This is a host ID. Last valid means up to 16.255.254. This is we can ascend to the. Not only this one, there is so many are there. 172.17. This network is given. 172.18 network for private use. 172.19 for private use. And like a 19, 20, 21 up to 172.31 is the last one. Okay. 31 is the last one. All these networks are private IP networks only. If you use 172 dot, sorry, okay, if you use 172.15.0.0 network, in any case you use this one, 15 means it's again public IP. 172.32.0. If you use in this network, again it's a public. It means from 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 up to 31. All this 15, around 15 means 16 plus 15 is 31. Almost like around what we can say, around 15 or 16 it will come, like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 and 31. So totally 16 networks are given for the public usage purpose. So that's why it is written like this. The entire range is starting range is 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255 192.168.255. This is complete range of IP address. From here to here, all these things in between, all are private IP address. So you can take any private IP and you can assign to your network. Either you can use 10 series or you can use 170.16 or 170.17, 170.18. So totally 16 networks are given for a private use purpose. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So class C. So last one is your class C. From class C also, there is a few private IP addresses are given. So how many are there? Around 256 networks are given. For class B, it is only 16 networks. For class A, only one network. Okay. Yes. So in a class C, 256, it means to start with 192.168. I think someone got a doubt. That's why I'm using this always 172.16 only. Even I check IP address in my home, I'm getting 192.168 only. Why it is? Because it is a private IP. Okay, it's a private IP, that it's a class C private IP. And 0.0. It is ranging 192.168 0.255 because it's a class C. So first three portion is network. Okay. So how it is goes? 170, 192, 168, 1.0. Another network. Same it is goes. 1.255. Okay. Again, 2.0 network. 2.255. This is the another network range. So like it keep on goes. And you reach 255.0. And this is 255.255 means 192.168.255.255. Okay, from this range, from here to here, this is the complete range of IP address. Complete range of total range. Complete range. So it is totally from 0. So only third octet is different. In entire this range, first two are always same. For entire class C private IP, and first two portions are always same. 192.168. Only third portion is different. 0 for one network, 1 for another network, 2 is another network, like that up to 255. So 0 to 255 means 256 networks you are getting in a class A for your private communication purpose. Each one is single network. But total range is, we are right, from 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.255. That is a class C range. So you can configure any of the private IP, depends upon number of systems and depends upon your requirement. You can configure the IP address into your PCs using manual configuration or using DHCP configuration. Then you can communicate within your network, but you can't communicate outside with a private network, private IP address. Yeah, one more where we are missing in class C, not missing. So it is in case there is a 192.167. This network is there. 167 means it's public. 192. Okay. 169. So anyway, after this one, 169 comes. Again, it is public, not a private one. Okay. So other than these ranges, there is a one more private IP address range is also there. Of course, I said now we'll see that one API address, that is also private IP address range. Okay. Other than these ranges, like a time series 170.16 to 170.31c networks, 192.168.0 to 192.168.255 networks. Other than these one, plus there is a one more API address, all remaining from class A and class B, class C, all remaining are public IP addresses only. So public IP addresses do not have any specific range here. Okay, so those are given for a private IP related. So there are private IP addresses first. Okay, and remaining all become public IP addresses. Private IP addresses are non-routable in public, means within your network you can communicate each other. In private you can communicate, but publicly you want to communicate, we need a public IP address. And public IP addresses are paid based, means one network you have to purchase, either it is subnetted network or full network you have to purchase, and then only your devices can communicate through publicly. For example, I have a server. Okay, in my organization, in our Savantis, we have a server. For example, our LMS server is there, learning server is there. Some other student information related documents server is there. Maybe there is a web server. Maybe there is a SAP related server. Okay, different server, SAP based server is there. Okay, so these devices, Active Directory server is there. There are in my office. So I can connect directly through my LAN communication in my office. I can connect and access through my private IP itself. I can access through my private IP only. So I don't require public IP address to access it. Why? Because I am in the same office. The servers also in the same office. For accessing, we don't require any public IP addresses. Private is enough. But these servers also required to access public. For example, student learning LMS required to access. You are sitting somewhere, I'm sitting somewhere. Okay. We need to access that one. So it means it has to access to the public. So for that one, you need to assign with a public IP address. For example, maybe I have a web server, website access. Again, public access is required means you have to give public IP address. So for example, someone want to access my server through public, it means it required a public IP address. Okay, if device having its own private IP, users cannot access. You can access internally, but you can't access externally. This is we can't do it. But you want to get access publicly means the device must have a public IP address. Understand guys, public and private IP address difference? Any questions, doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. But thing is, the question is, what is my IP address? 170.16, right? So we'll make it little bigger, so then you can also see properly. Okay. So is it a private IP or public IP? That's my IP address for my laptop.
Private.
It's a private IP. Okay. It's a private IP. 170.16 means it's a private IP, class B. If you see this IP address, this is a www.google.com server IP address. Is it public or private IP? It's not in our private range means it's a public only.
It's a public
It's not.
IP.
You tell me.
I was saying public IP.
Yeah, that is a public IP because it's not a 10 series, it's not a 170.16, it's not 190.168. Okay. Another series I said now 169.254. That is 169.254. That is the one private IP is there, separate private IP is there. Okay. So this is a public IP. So because this www.google.com server through public IP means we are accessing it because of its publicly available public IP address through we are accessing. Okay. Anybody getting doubts or question? I am having private, Google is public. I'm
No, sir.
accessing internet. I'm accessing internet, youtube.com, google.com, docs.com, your, what is we can say, okay, java.tpoint.com, all I'm accessing through my private only, right? With my IP address is private, but I'm accessing internet related sources, publicly available things. It is not in our piece organization. We are accessing it. How? How? Mine is private, but I'm accessing public available things. How? Next one. This is a server. This having public IP means it's a separate IP from our private IP. But I want to connect because both are in same physical network. I want to communicate. For that purpose, I am using a private only. So original to this server is private only. For accessing outside, required public IP address. Okay. So just like if you are in a home, right now everybody is in home, what you guys are wearing? Maybe some track pant, t-shirt, or maybe shorts, 3/4, right? Boys generally. Girls means they wear normal dresses. Okay. Okay. But you are going for outside interview or maybe office. You are coming to our 70s office. So you should wear formal dresses or casuals or maybe jeans and t-shirt or maybe like a formal pant and shirt with a tuck-up, tie, shoes, right? So when you are going public, you will appear differently. In your private is okay, it's a free time. So what are you can do it. It's a difference, public and private. Okay. But what is this IP address part? I am having private, but I'm able to access internet related things. Thus, technique is called a NAT and PAT techniques. We are using NAT and PAT techniques to access public network. Inside it is private only. But when you are communicating outside of your network, you need a public IP. Okay. You need a public IP address. So for that one, how it is designed, look at. This is your private network. You have your devices, maybe your computers, laptops, servers, storage devices. So this is entirely your private network. Now you want to connect to the public anyway, and you are accessing anything from direct public network. So that is required public IP, as I said. So in this router, in generally in organizations, what they will do in this router, they'll configure a NAT. NAT means network address translation. Network address translation. For example, this is some 172.16.0.10. This is 172.16.0.11. 172.16.0.12, for example. But these devices are having private, but it want to communicate through public. From public or through public, it is either getting inside or outside. Okay, NAT. What is this NAT technique is will do? So I purchase public IP addresses. I purchase some public IP addresses, and I will map this private IP to public IP. I'll map private IP to public IP. This is my private IP. Then it is mapped to some public IP. Just for example. Two 20.160. Okay. 10.10. This is my public IP. This is the private IP. It maps inside this router, NAT mapping. So whenever this device want to communicate outside, it will go like this. It comes with this IP address. Means this is the from address earlier. Now the from address is this one. So using this public IP, it can enter into the internet. So once it is internet entered, so it can access anything available inside the internet space. What is NAT? Network address translation. It maps your private IP, inside IP to outside IP addresses. So you are communicating with your public IP address whenever you are communicating in the public. In the private, you can use your own private IP address. When you are communicating outside or communicating from outside, okay, so use public IP. So NAT is a technique to use to map your private IP to public IP. Guys, understand the concept of NAT?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Very good. Okay. So I have multiple devices. For every device, there is a some private IP, and that IP address is mapped to some public IP address. Okay. So 10 servers are there, 10 public connectivities are required. Then 10 public IP we need it. 10 public connections required, 10 public IP addresses are required. It's like a one-to-one translations, one-to-one translations. That is actually a static NAT. Okay. The thing is, the thing is, fact. Thing is, in your home or office, you have more number of devices, means more number of private IP address. For example, take in my home, I have two laptops, maybe like a TV, two mobile phones, one tablet, like that. I have devices. There's five, six devices are there. When I have to purchase that five, six public IP addresses, so then only I can able to communicate to public. Now, organizations, okay, they can able to spend enterprise level, they can able to spend for the public IP addresses. But public also more that IP addresses are short as IPv4 is itself it is short as IP address. Okay, so we can't purchase. First of all, we can't buy for our home or small offices. We can't purchase. There's so many public IP. Even bigger organizations don't buy these public IP addresses for servers. They have a dedicated public IP addresses using NAT technique. They'll map it. The challenge is like this. What is it is? I have so many private IP addresses. Want to communicate outside, but NAT, what it is doing? It maps one to one. It maps your private to public one to one mapping. Means you have 10 devices required to communicate outside. So it means you need a 10 public IP addresses. Okay. So that is our mapping. To overcome this issue, you are using a technique called PAT, port address translation. Exactly say NAT is nothing but a, sorry, port PAT is a nothing but a NAT overload. What is the problem? More number of devices, but public IP, those many not available. So what we are doing is here, we are having a multiple IP addresses like 172.16.0.10. Okay, 172.16.0.11, 172.16.0.12. Okay, so these devices want to communicate outside, but we have a single public IP address. Example 220.40.5.6. This is my public IP right now. Or maybe we can increase 120. Okay, 120.20.40.5.6. This is my public IP. Okay. So what it will do, it load all the private to one single public. You're loading all private IP address on a single public IP address. Okay, single public IP address. That is called a NAT overload. NAT means one to one. NAT overload means many to one. Many to one. So how it is happens? When 10 is communicating to outside of the network, so it is got some assigned with a some port number. Some port number. So packet is taken with this IP address, the port, it will be translated. Okay, it go with this IP address with this port number matching. Okay, so when you are communicating, you need a public IP address. Same thing. If this is communicating, some port number is assigned here, and it is so this is the port mapping technique to know to whom you are to connect. You are connecting incoming packets like that. Like uh, so, what is PAT? NAT overload. We are overloading multiple local IP addresses or uh, private IP addresses over the single public IP address. So this is called a port mapping technique. So here we are map our source and destination with the port numbers. Like that, more number of devices can able to connect and access. The technique is PAT, port address translation. So NAT is private to private. PAT, it is also private to public, but multiple private IP addresses to single public IP address. Okay, so it is all private IP addresses, but this side only one public IP address. So how it will be matched using these port numbers. Okay, guys, understand public IP, private IP? Take 5 minutes, just a 5 minutes, then we will discuss.